So tonight we are going to speak with you all about two things. 550 Penn is located on Penn Street Northeast at the intersection of 6th Street and Penn. It's this triangular building here. We're here tonight to share with this group the details of a zoning adjustment application that we filed for this property. Before I get into that, let me first start with give you an overview of kind of how we came to where we are now. Edens purchased the property in 2007. We purchased it from Metropolitan Floors Cooperative. Metropolitan Floors Cooperative continued to operate the property until November of 2011, and then at that point, Edens started to pursue renovation plans for the property. Renovation plans include re-tenanting the building, so as we're talking with the chocolatier and a couple other food-related users that will use this facility for production and distribution facilities for their restaurants throughout the DC area. This is the condition of the building today, and this is what we propose the building to look like once the renovation is complete. Additional building improvements obviously include a total renovation of the exterior of the building. So where you have a solid brick wall with some old roll-up garage doors, we're looking to bring in some nice glass, industrial-looking storefronts to be able to kind of just give it some character and make it more than just a warehouse building that's over there at the corner with nothing going on. So we'd be investing in putting a sidewalk along the front of the property. There'd be landscaping, new grass, new street trees, adding bike racks, and so on. As I mentioned, there are two components to the zoning adjustment application. The two components are a reduction in the amount of loading space required, as well as the off-street parking requirement. The parking study that we conducted showed that there was no impact, no new parking demand required for these new uses of the property. And secondly, there's ample street parking in the area for use as needed. The second component is for the loading bays. Zoning requires that you have 3 loading bays for a building of this size. They also require a certain size for those loading bays. The first is you need to have 1 loading bay at 55 feet deep, 1 loading bay at 30 feet deep, and 1 loading bay at 20 feet deep. The proposed tenants here don't actually have any use for a 55-foot deep loading bay. We're asking to reduce the loading bay requirements from 55 feet to 25 feet and the 30-foot to a 30-foot. And then there's one other that's a 20-foot, and we're not asking for any changes there. That's really the overview of the BZA case.
I wanted to talk to you about two things. One, sort of wanted to introduce the company to you, and also wanted to tell you a little bit about the Union Market. Edens, it was a family-owned grocery a chain in South Carolina in the 1930s. The family sold the grocery chain to Winn-Dixie in 1960. And when they sold the chain, they got into the grocery anchored development business. Today, Edens develops, owns, and manages grocery anchored shopping centers from Boston to Miami. The 3 of us here tonight, and Steve Boyle, who's our managing director, just joined us. We live in the area. In 2007 is when we were all first introduced to the Union Market, the Florida Market area. And we couldn't understand how this wonderful place with all this history and culture and rich food identity and all this stuff, no one else in the city was coming to. We bought 5 properties. 550 Penn was one of them. The Union Market building was another one. We knew that it had this great potential. We wanted to figure out how it worked, how to improve it, how to start bringing people here. So we sort of embarked on this education process where we traveled around the country. We visited all the great markets in the country. We were in New York, San Francisco, other places. And actually we started here at our own Eastern Market. So we came back from that trip and we sort of had this vision of a local but a local community market that also would draw people from all over the city to it. And really a place that we hope at the end of the day makes this neighborhood very proud of and also makes the city very proud of. Sort of the more recent history is that in October, I think it was 14th, 2011, there was a raid at the old market. And at the time, there was several of our vendors were arrested, and there was a large amount of counterfeit merchandise that was seized. So we were really sort of trying to figure that out when there was a fire, which was, I guess, October 20th. So 6 days after the raid, there was a fire. But it was an electrical fire. There was an extensive amount of smoke damage to the building. We seriously considered just tearing the building down and starting over. And so right now we have a plan for 40 vendors in the market. It's about a third leased right now. So we have a lot of work to do to finish filling the market. Even though I don't think we were quite ready to start, we really wanted to start to bring people back to the place. The vendors that have sort of tested it out have actually done very well, and we're now starting to actually convert some of these people who tried it out. They liked what they sort of saw, so to speak, and now they're interested in being more full-time. We're hoping to be fully leased in the next 60 days. We plan on being fully open in November, so that would be 6 days a week. We'd be closed on Mondays, and the hours of operation, I think, will probably be between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. There's a lot still left to do, and so hopefully you'll sort of bear with us. There's a lot of kinks to work out. That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to engage with you guys to try and understand what we need to do different, how to work these kinks out, and go from there. So hope you'll bear with us while we hopefully get this right.
What the neighborhood can benefit from?
I think there's a lot of benefits it will bring. I mean, there will probably be about 200 people working in this. Now there's a number of vendors that are permanent vendors. So there's a produce person. There's Harvey's Meats. I don't know. You might remember. He's one of the vendors from the previous market that will be back. There's a cheese vendor. There's a pickle guy. There's a guy who sells fresh lettuce and those kinds of things. Are permanent. There's the oyster vendor. So we would like to see some additional produce vendors. Mm-hmm. We're working, like I said, we have a lot more people to do leases with.
In this process, we have to be able to engage them where they can understand what this is all about. Mm-hmm. So they feel like they're a part of something. Yep. When you feel like you're a part of something, you're going to make it work.
That's true.
So do the development have anything to do with the schools around?
Right, there's sort of like the education process where you bring in, little kids and you teach them about, I remember going to the grocery store on a field trip, right? It's like that kind of thing, right? Then there's different levels where job opportunities and internships and those kinds of things. So those are all kinds of sort of a range of things that I think we'll explore. We tried to put on a series of community events. We actually started last year when we did the first DC Scoop, which was an ice cream event. And then this year we did it a second time. We also did a barbecue spectacular, which actually was a really great event, but the weather didn't really work with us.
We are a family here. We look out for each other. We might not get along with each other, but we look out for each other.
I think he's concerned more about blacks in the neighborhood. When he said we, I've been around here myself.
But it's funny.
Since the rise, well, you said the kids, but we're adults, right? We're speaking up for the kids and the future of the neighborhood. Yeah. But you need to come out and say what's on your mind.
Change
I hope
what?
we are all together. We're black and white here together.
That's true.
There will be a massive change in the neighborhood. On the property down here, brothers, the Kerr and the Carrier, Eli. And I've been around here quite a while. And I see the change in the neighborhood. You can't stop progress.
That's true.
I can understand your feeling. I feel bad about a lot of things that's happening. Gentrification is happening. People are moving in, people are moving out. You can't be a part of it you just might have to get out. People are spending a lot of money in these projects and so forth. And the best you can do is, like you know, try to keep up. Find out what's going on. Tell them what you want and what you expect, you know, from this corporation that's coming in and making all of this food. You know, and I understand change. And you can always get change. And it might not be what you lack.
But you have.
But if you can't be a player, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're gonna do.
You want us to talk straight, and we couldn't ask for any better conversation for us to be part of. That this is a money loser in a big way. We really had to go to our investors and ask them to make a commitment to a bigger picture plan. Now, that bigger picture plan is to try and expose this big, wonderful place you heard Jeff talking about, that really should be more integrated to your community. Right now, it's not in the way that it should be. It's kind of this warehouse district that's got this rich history, and there's a lot of culture going on in there, a lot of commerce, but it's not integrated the way it could be. People don't live there. We are very sensitive to what I'll call the old school neighborhoods, perception of what's going on. I mean, I hear when I walk in the market, there's no food for black people here. This isn't for us. I don't think we want to try to send that kind of a message to the community. We're trying to send one of inclusivity. And it's hard because right now, everyone's perception is in the context of what the market was. And we get that. The market was something that had a great history and was special to a lot of people, and we're sensitive to that. But we're trying to raise the quality of what we're delivering to this community. We're trying to improve the quality of the food and the presentation of that food. We're going to try and create more of an awareness of this special place so that the city can discover it. And finally, you know, this is a lofty goal, the color thing goes away because it's food. And that's really where we are with it. We're trying to just be, you know, sensitive to the color piece, but not pandering to it.
I've been to the old market. It was disgusting. It was nasty. It was criminal activity. I wouldn't shop there. This place, I would shop. You know, I want to come to some place that's clean, neat. You know, you can work with local people like, you know, the ANCs and the people in the community, find out, have a battle of the bands, or play go-go music, then you'll have all the black people there. But I'm glad that it's a new place coming up there, because outside of saying, I'm really tired of the old area, all brown and gray and ugly. I mean, if someone can come and renovate and do something, it would be good, because me and my friends, we're coming to the market.
To do some kind of, don't know what they call it, insurance trip anymore, but it's where they do a certain number of community hours at some place. And you may actually have someone who can then move into a position, because the vendors will have seen the people. They will say, hey, this is a determined young person. I want them working at it. And so this is a way to build community trust. I love the idea that you were talking about the children coming in and doing, you know, the field trips.
Exactly.
Mentoring.
It's a good idea, yeah.
Mentoring them up. And there's plenty of opportunity, not just for this group, by the way. There's plenty of opportunity for all of us to mentor in the right way.
Right.
The children and youth in our community. So all of us are on the block for that.
Yeah.
Not just the ones who just come in. All of us have to do our part.
Yeah.